I mean, apologies for the delay. I was thinking that that there would be maybe like an introduction or something, or to say, oh, you're welcome, or start, So that's why I was just chilling to waiting for my orgas, not knowing that I was the one they were waiting for. So I'm really excited to be here with all of you today, to be back with all of you today. And honestly, I cannot wait to get started. I believe that this session is going to be very useful to you. And the way I want us to start today's session is to do a little bit of recap and to literally just figure out, the parts of the past trainings that have been very useful to you. And this will also be useful for people who probably missed, any of the sessions we've had so far. So I'm going to be sharing my screen now. And okay, I hope you can see my screen. Just a minute. Okay, all right. So once again, my name is Lupe Gabubale. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Grandmaster, and I'm going to be sharing with you today on how to write grant winning proposals. Of course, this is the same series that we've been on, but today is going to be a very practical class, right? So just in case you don't have maybe like a note or a pen, you should get one. Or if you're the kind of person, maybe you're like me and you're very digital and you type everything on a laptop or maybe your iPad or your phone, that's also fine, right? But this is a very practical class. So there's no space for anybody to hide in this class. This class is going to be done by both of us, you and I. We do it together, right? So we're like this. Okay. So for the next 5 minutes, we're going to do a recap of what we've learned so far. So the question I have for you is, what have you learned so far? What has been your biggest takeaway from the sessions? And of course, I keep time all the time. So phone in hand, stopwatch coming up. Yes, my stopwatch is on. Okay, yes. So what have you learned so far from the sessions that we've heard? What has been your biggest takeaway so far? I'd like you to go to the chat box to drop your comments. And if you want to speak, just raise up your hand and then I'll ask you to unmute your mic. So let's go. So don't forget, you don't necessarily have to, if you don't want to drop a message in the chat box, you can raise up your hand and then I'll call you, right? But if you would rather type, by all means, go to the chat box and tell us your biggest takeaway so far. Go to the chat box right now. Tell us your biggest takeaway so far. What have you learned, right? What have you learned? Judging by the feedback from the last two sessions, a lot of you are saying like the session has been useful for you. You've learned one or two things, right? So what is your biggest takeaway? What has been your biggest takeaway so far? What have you learned so far, right? One paragraph will be enough. Good morning, American Space Maiduguri. Good morning. I'm monitoring the chat box. I'm also checking participants, just in case anybody wants to share. All you have to do is just raise up your hand, right? Just raise up your hand if you want to share. Okay, American Center Lagos. I learned how to profile my organization in order to attract funders as a new NGO. This is from Kelechi Cynthia. American Center Lagos, I think you should change the setting from direct message to center hall, right? To because Kevin has a DM to me. I know we were involved in a DM earlier, right? So please change the setting of your messaging to everyone in the meeting so everybody can see the message. So Cynthia, thank you very much for sharing. Thank you so much. Okay, now I mean, I want to be sure that a lot of us were in previous sessions, right? So what did we learn? What did we learn? I don't want to believe that only Cynthia was in the class or paid attention in the class. Kudirat, I learned how to write grants and collect ideas. Nice, okay. America Center Lagos, thank you for sharing again. Thank you so much, thanks. Okay, it's 2 minutes, 30 seconds. I guess people are shy, like they don't want to share, they are shy. Why shall you shy, right? Your name except your name is Shy or Shewa. You don't have the permission or the license to be shy. Okay, Oshobo window. Tips on how to make my grant application stand out. Uche, I learned to build, I'm putting the I learned, I've added that. Build your personal profile and your organization's profile by carrying out projects if you are new. Fantastic. Yeah, I remember that I kept emphasizing that for new NGOs, don't expect anybody to give you money if you don't have something to show, right? The best proof of what an organization can do is what they have done. So Uche, thank you so much. Very important point. Ketura, I learned how to cost M&E in the budget. Okay, Ketura, that's interesting. Sylvia, I learned how to go about searching for grant opportunities that align with my organization's mission. Sylvia, you're the original Google. You know, the way you're saying search it, right? I like that. Sylvia, thanks for sharing. Sorry, let me go back. Don't mind, you know, we're still on the recap. Okay. Uche learned how to carry out needs assessment. Uche, okay, that's fantastic. Shale, I learned about smart partnership. Shale, yes, right? Where you need to team up with an organization that can provide a complementary service, something that you need but cannot do, right? Fantastic. Olajumoke, I learned to focus on one project at a time. Thank you. I remember that I was very, very, hard on some of you on the call because I was saying, don't be scatterbrained, don't be jumping from pillar to post. And it's because funders literally work with thematic areas, right? Funders sometimes may release a call for proposals and it's just focused on health or focused on education, right? And so you may think that, oh, it's better for my NGO or my startup if you are focused on multiple thematic areas. No, it's not. What will eventually end up happening is that you put in out big applications across these thematic areas and you end up winning none. Right? So it's better that your core focus is around a particular thematic areas or at most 2 thematic areas, right? So that you don't want to stretch so that you don't stretch yourself too thin. Oshobo window, I learned the importance of pilot projects and how research is key to grant writing. Fantastic. Everybody, thank you so much for sharing. And we've spent 4 minutes, 49 seconds on the recap so far. So, I mean, in terms of 5 minutes, the time has got nothing on us. We are absolutely on time and on track. So let's move on. Let's talk about the conceptual framework of a grant, right? First of all, there's the need statement, your statement of need, which is where you show that there is indeed a need. There's a serious problem that needs intervention, right? And then talk about objectives. What do you intend to achieve by this project that you have in your mind? What do you intend to achieve? And then after that, you talk about the activities, right? It's not enough for you to have objectives. You need to have activities that will take you closer to your objective. Let me give you an example. So let's say there's somebody who has set an objective to lose weight, maybe to lose 10 kg of weight. That person has to do some activities. Maybe you have to buy a weighing scale, start eating right, or maybe even cut down the number of times you eat, right? So it's not enough for you to have objectives. You need to have activities that will take you closer to those objectives. Next is personnel, right? When we're talking about projects, you need people, right? You need people to get the work done. You cannot do it alone. If a grant requires you to do it all by yourself, then it's probably like a small grant or a micro grant, which is fine. But once you start talking about big grants like $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, sometimes you need 50, 100 people on a project, sometimes even more, right? So you need to think about what skill sets do I need? Who are the people that I need? That's personnel. And then evaluation. You cannot manage what you cannot measure, according to Peter Drucker. I hope you still remember that quote, right? So how do you know that the project is indeed achieving its goals, its aims, How do you know that you're moving forward? How do you know that you're doing the things you say you're going to do? That's evaluation. And then the budget, right? Because, without money, very little, right? So budget to ensure how you intend to spend the money. How you intend to deliver value for money. That's the budget. Right? And so, like I said, this is a very practical class. So get your pen and paper ready, and if you want to type, also fine. We're going to be ready to do the work with me. We're going to do the work, and we're going to do the work. All right. So let's start with need statement, right? Basically, this entire class is this 6 list that I have for you. This short list of 6 items. This is the entire class. So let's start with the need statement. What is a need statement, right? It's where you talk about the need that you've observed, the need in the community, the problem, the issue that needs fixing, right? That's it. But unfortunately, it's usually the most poorly written section, right? A lot of times people just feel like, there is no power supply in my community, so therefore there's a need for solar panels, right? How do you know? Are you saying that all the people in your community don't already know about solar panels? What is the reason why they are not buying solar panels, right? So a lot of times people just jump to conclusions, right? So because Nigeria has a lot of out of school children, so the way to now solve that problem is to build more schools. We are joking. You must be joking because there are schools, there are communities where they have a lot of schools and people are still not going, right? So this is usually very poorly written because people just jump to conclusions and jump to assumptions. No, right? And of course, the whole essence of talking about this point is showing you how to put together a very proper need statement. So the need statement has two purposes. Number one is to explain the needs, right? Explain how the needs meet the funder's interests, right? Remember what I said about funders, in earlier classes. Funders essentially want applications that align with their own funding thesis. Every funder has a funding thesis. They have a focus area, right? They focus on thematic areas, and then they have a funding thesis. Their funding thesis is their own view of the change they wish to see in the world and the change they wish to back, right? So your proposal has to fit, the funder's thesis, right? So you can use the need statement to explain how your need meets the funder's interest. And then the second thing is that you can use the need statement to also establish the specific problem the proposed project will address. And number two is very, very important. Number one is key because number one is you showing alignment. Number two is you then showing specific problem that the proposed project will address. Every grant proposal is addressing the problem. Every grant proposal, right? Every single grant proposal. So let's move on. Now, remember what I said. This class is a very practical class. In fact, if you're in this class and you're distracted, there's something near you, someone near you distracting you, I think you need to give yourself space, right? Create space. If you need to relocate from where you are, relocate, right? If you need to levitate, because we've got into the business end of the class, right? Because after this example, there's going to be a class one, and there will be examples and class one back to back to back, right? Now, before I start, I want to be sure we're all on the same page, right? So if you're absolutely ready for this example, if you're absolutely ready, can you please go to the chat section and type ready? I want to see the number of people that are ready for this example, because after this example is class one straight. So I want to be sure that I'm not alone and that I'm not too fast and that we're together and you're ready to learn so much, in today's class. Ready? Yeah. I love the energy in the house. The energy in the house is really, really contagious. Peter is ready. American Center Lagos is ready. Abubakar is ready. This is good. So let's look at the example. Now, this example is an actual example from a grant winning proposal. Now, of course, I just did some numbers of concealing the identity of the persons and the organizations involved, right? So it's an actual winning grant proposal, but some things have changed. Now, according to the police in Sunflower School District, has increased over the past 5 years, rising from no drug activity in 2015 to 1,500 arrests in 2020. In 2021, the number of persons arrested for drug-related activities doubled to 3,000. Can you see? Can we all agree that this is a problem, right? Please go to the chat section. I want you to agree or disagree. Do we agree that this is a serious problem? Yes or no? Does this particular community have a problem? Yes or no? Do they have a problem? Right? I think, judging by all the answers in the chat box, we can all agree that this is a serious problem. Very serious, right? In the space of 1 year, the number of arrests doubled, like 100% increase. This is a very serious problem, right? And this is exactly how you want funders to be, to be feeling when they are reading your proposals. When they are reading it, you want them to go like, wow, exactly, right? That's it. You want to portray a very serious problem in a very compelling way. So let's move on. There is a need for Sunflower School District to reduce marijuana use among the students, right? In Yoruba, we say that, our Malay one fago. Now, if you don't understand Yoruba, let me try to translate to English. What I just said in Yoruba is that the way to interpret this, to say it, the way Nigerians will say it is that these children, attending this school, the students are smoking weed, right? So, but I think the Yoruba version was far more interesting. Don't mind, just kidding, kidding. So this application focuses on the priority of developing and disseminating knowledge at the services delivery level by creating an on-site drug treatment clinic within the Sunflower School District. This clinic will provide counseling and treatment for the 3,000 students and youths who live in the Sunflower School District who have been identified for using marijuana. Please, are we following? Do we understand, what a need statement looks like now? Do we understand, right? Utomwa, I absolutely agree with you. There's a very serious problem. Do we understand what it looks like now? Now, let me go back a little bit. Let me go back, right? Let me go back a little bit let me go back. Look at how this need statement started, right? First of all, we introduced the community. We talked about, I'm coming, just a minute. We talked about the issue in the community, the fact that the students, the youths are smoking marijuana, and they're not just smoking marijuana. The drug-related arrests are rising. Over the past 5 years, it's been rising, but in the last 1 year alone, it doubled. So first of all, we established the problem. We established that there is a serious problem. Next thing we did was we then started talking about what we would do a little bit about what we would do to change the status quo, right? So we gave like a very high level overview, which is where we started talking about, okay, we'll disseminate knowledge, we'll create an on-site drug treatment clinic to provide counseling and treatment, right? And so you can also use your need statement to kind of introduce the solution. But it's not so much that you are talking too much about the solution, because you have opportunities to talk about the solution. So the need statement is not necessarily for you to talk a lot about the solution. It's just for you to introduce the solution. So it's our first classwork, like I told you, this is a very practical class. And this is exactly what we're going to do, right? I want you to pick a problem in your community. If you already have an NGO or you have a startup, fantastic, right? So you can think around the problem that your NGO or your startup is currently solving. If not, maybe you intend to start an NGO, or you intend to join an NGO, or you intend to join a startup, right? I want you to think about the problem in your community. Now, write your own need statement. And I'm looking at something around 50 to 100 words, right? 2 to 3 paragraphs max. You don't need to write a full page, 2 to 3 paragraphs max. So pick a problem, a pressing problem in your community, or a problem you're already solving, working on, and then write your need statement. So you have 5 minutes for this particular classwork. How you're going to submit the classwork is you're going to post it in the chat section, right? You're going to post it in the chat box. So that means that for people who want to write with Biro and paper, it means that you still need to type and share in the chat box. Or if you like, you can just type on your phone or your laptop and share, right? So I would like to take as many examples from you as possible. And I'm starting my stopwatch now. Your time starts now. Yes. So write your need statement. You have 5 minutes to write a need statement. Now, while the time is running, and of course, time is doing its thing, you can ask questions. So go to the chat box if you have a question, or if you want to maybe speak and say something and ask a question. By all means, raise your hand. I'm happy to take questions during this period. But essentially, the next 5 minutes is solely dedicated to you writing your need statement. Okay, I see a question here from Kudirat. Is needs assessments the same as need statement? So the need statement is when you write it out that this is the need in the community. The needs assessment is when you are trying to figure out what the need is in your community, right? When you're trying to assess the needs in your community, right? You're looking at your community and you're thinking, what is the biggest issue in this community? Is it water, right? Is it bad roads? Right? Is it electricity? So needs assessment is you literally trying to figure out the most pressing needs in your community. That's needs assessment, right? The needs statement is an example of what we just wrote. So Kudirat, I hope that I answered your question. We still have about 3.5 minutes to go. Happy to take questions. Okay, so wow, somebody has already shared a need statement of data. This is so super fast. That's interesting. Okay, I'll take that. But I can see some questions. Peter Stella is asking, what is RFP? RFP is request for proposal. right? Request for proposal. That's like an announcement. The funder telling you there's money, come and apply. That is RFP. NOFA is notice of funding announcement, right? In some cases, you hear notice of funding availability, right? So either ways. So NOFA is just another name for RFP. Yeah, it's the exact same thing, just another name for it. It's just that RFP is much more common. By the way, if you finished writing your need statement, please share in the chat box. You don't have to wait till it's 5 minutes on the dot. We've already spent 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay, so we have plea for flood disaster relief. This is from, my name is Dr. Okema Roots, and you can follow along just in case you're wondering where is Bigger written from. Of course, it's from the chat box, right? My name is Dr. Okema Roots Uzoma. I'm the founder and executive director at Mido Health Foundation in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, Nigeria. Sadly, my family and I have lost our properties and have been internally displaced by a ravaging flood as my state Bayelsa has been submerged in water. At the east-west road leading into the state have become impassable, creating scarcity of food, essential commodities, and other basic necessities. Essential commodities and other basic necessities are under extreme inflation. It is on this note that I hereby make a plea for support and financial aid to enable us cope with this urgent worsening humanitarian crisis looming within the communities. This is a depressing situation. I have a set goal of raising the sum of $20,000 to assist my immediate family and other internally displaced persons. I'm pleading that a donation be made to this cause, as any amount given will be highly appreciated and put to judicious use. Kindly donate to the account. Okay, so for Middle Health Foundation, right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. So my feedback would be, and I'm going to be giving feedback on this assessment. My feedback would be that, first of all, I like how we introduced the challenge, talking about, the flooding, and of course, we all know about the flood. Anybody that's read the news knows it's a serious issue, right? But it sounded a little bit that you wanted it came across like you would use more of the funding for your immediate family, right? So my feedback would be that you frame it as the community, right? You don't say, oh, my family and the community. You say, oh, this money is going to help the community. You're no longer representing yourself at that point. You're representing the community. So I would say, for example, that I think if I were to change something, anything at all, it would be around the focus to make sure that it's really focused on the community versus you focusing on your immediate family, right? Just focus on the internet displaced persons in your community, right? And then saying, can you donate to the account? You know that this is the need statement, right? So there's no can you donate to the account. That one is not needed at this point. And then also, any amounts given will be highly appreciated and put to judicious use. I think the last paragraph is not exactly important. What you want to do with the needs statement of need is to just establish the need and maybe talk a little bit about the solution, but don't stress too much about what will happen. Don't stress too much. That's another section entirely. So I hope you found my feedback useful. I hope so. Okay, Kudirat is saying sustainability is important. Kudirat, thanks for sharing. Abubakar, outwave is one of the devastating effects of climate change that causes various diseases, I guess you meant. Drink water, take shade, and rest. So Abubakar, I don't understand this your statement of need, though. I don't understand it. Maybe if you can rephrase. Sheryl Taiwo, the rise in teenage pregnancy in Yoruba communities is alarming. 3 in 5 teenage girls are at risk of being pregnant due to increase in poverty rates occasioned by female-headed households struggling to cater to the needs of their families. Our intervention aims to equip young females and adults with skills acquisition to improve financial power. I guess you meant to improve their financial power. So, Sheryl Taiwo, right? This definitely looks like like an actual problem, because 3 in 5 teenage girls are at risk of being pregnant. Now, it will help if you're able to maybe share statistics about the number of females that are even pregnant, right? If you say, for example, that 3 in 5 teenage girls are at risk of being pregnant and 1 in 5 teenage girls are pregnant, now that is serious. Right? So Sheryl Taiwo, I hope you got something from that, right? But I mean, you're absolutely on the way. This is really, really good. Abdul, plea for schooling materials after the ATT. Abdul, you're confusing me. Explain yourself, please. I don't understand. Sheryl Taiwo, okay, I guess you posted it multiple times. Sheryl Taiwo, thanks for sharing. Okay, Fumi Taiwo, mental health issues awareness in Lagos State, Nigeria. Before the 2020 pandemic, the need for mental care was slightly recognized since 2020. there's been a major rise in awareness and request for care in the area of mental health. A lot of people affected are indigent. Olama Cares Foundation intends to provide quality care for 12,000 indigents. Okay, so Fumi Taiwo, where you lost me is where you introduced the problem, right? Before 2020 pandemic, the need for mental care was slightly recognized. There's been a major rise in awareness. I don't see a problem here, Fumi Taiwo. This looks like a solution in such a problem. I don't see a problem here. Am I saying that mental health issues are not serious? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you did not drive the nail into the wood, right? You did not drive the nail into the wood. Right now, you are preaching mental health issues like, just an awareness problem, something that we just need to. If you had started this, for instance, by giving us statistics or maybe even telling a story around somebody that died, committed suicide because of depression, now you will have gotten our attention, right? But the way you framed it, so if you can rephrase, I'm happy to review. If you can rephrase, I think we can spend the next 2 minutes still reviewing more responses. Okay, Shontawo got something fantastic. Utonwa, in Egbeda town between the hours of 8 a.m. to 12 noon and along Dimu to Yanepaja axis, about 60 children between the ages of 8 and 14 years are seen walking in traffic when they should be in school. Children whose childhood is stolen turned into breadwinners even before experiencing puberty. They are exposed to automobile accidents, kidnap, and sexual molestation. Their right to education and well-being snatched. This against the child's right, and this is why Dignified Women of Substance Foundation would like to take these children out of the street and into school. See, don't worry. I hope you can see me. Can you see what I'm doing? What am I doing? What is Benda doing? I have to stand up for that. Don't I have to stand up. See, wherever you are, just doing like this. Like, is it not plenty? Very plentiful. This is fantastic. You are melting my heart. This is good. Okay, Stella, XYZ community is a densely populated community in rural areas of Lagos. There are a lot of out-of-school children in this community. Unfortunately, most public schools in this community lack furniture for the teen population. I'm coming. Stella, you are losing me. You are losing me, right? You are losing me. This is reading like a thesis, like a research work. You are losing me. You're talking about out-of-school children, right? And then you're talking about their lack of furniture, and I'm not just connecting. Like emotionally, I'm not connected. So Stella, I would advise that you scroll up and look at how Utonwa introduced, her arguments, right? That's Utonwa has given us a perfect example. This is what your need statement, your statement of this is what it should look like, right? So Stella, scroll up and check that example. Franklin, 1 in 10 Nigerian youngsters today are illiterate in their mother tongues, which poses a serious problem for the community. Franklin, I don't understand. They're illiterate in their mother tongue. How is it a problem? That small children cannot understand you. How is it a problem? Now, you're probably saying to me or saying to yourself, wherever you are, that, Benga, it is a problem. Even if it's a problem, you have not made a case for it. You've not made a case, right? You want to start an NGO using the mother tongue. I don't get why this is important. I will just change the price of fish in the market. So please, let me provide a disclaimer. I'm going to be very hard on you, like my feedback, right? So don't take it personally. This is for you to improve your writing skills, right? Today, it will be a little bit of violence, right? And a lot of insight. So if I'm giving you feedback, don't think, oh, why is going down on my case? Why is this so being hard on me? It's so that you can improve your writing. Really, that's why we're doing this, right? So I apologize in advance if I sound like I'm being very hard or harsh on you. I apologize in advance, but it is for your own good. So, frankly, I hope you got that, right? Your argument is very, very well true. You need to firm up that argument. Sylvia, the number of youths that pursue remote employment possibilities has increased, but there is currently a gap where the youths are not appropriately skilled. Sylvia, you're losing me. You're losing me. This is reading like a research paper, right? There's a reason why we don't like reading research papers. It's because they're boring. So, Sylvia, you are losing me. Okay. So thank you everybody for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. Just in case you are wondering, what is the best example here among all the examples, which example can I pattern after? I think Utonwa's example is phenomenal, fantastic, right? But the good news is, just in case you're wondering, like, oh, my next example is going to be Utonwa's example. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here today. I'm here to cheer all of you up, right? I'm here to be your cheerleader today. So I'm looking forward to the next example, to the next contribution that will absolutely knock Toa's example, out of the waters. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay. Kudira, sustainability is important. Unemployment in communities increases. Our NGO sees the increment, which mostly affects youth. So Kudira, you're losing me. You're losing me. When you're opening a sentence or you're opening like an argument, you need to open with a hook, something that will hook the person, right? You just open with a hook, right? For example, imagine that you open your sentence with 1 out of every 3 young Nigerians are unemployed, right? Even though it's a general statistic available online, at least you have my attention. Open with a hook. The way you open is very important, right? So that you don't lose the reviewer, the person reviewing your application. Okay. Dr. Abdul, Initiative for Orphans and Vulnerable Persons. The aftermath of terrorist attack in Brini, Gwari area, Kaduna, have led to the death of breadwinners. Does the need for children? No, Dr. Abdul, you jumped to you should have talked about the issue, right? What does a terrorist attack look like? Paint a picture, right? Paint a picture. What does a terrorist attack look like? Children that have no parents again, children that have been forced into maybe prostitution, child trafficking. Paint the picture, paint it. Okay, so for the sake of time, we're going to move on to the next point, right? But I hope that you're learning, right? If somebody is on this call learning something, right? I want to be sure that, I'm not the only one who's learning from all these, terrific examples and examples that also need, to be worked on. I want to be sure that you're all learning. So I want you to go to the comment section right now. I want you to type learning. Let me see the people that are learning. It seems it's only Shane Taiwo that is learning. What is happening? Okay, Utonwa is also learning. Uche is learning. Who else is learning? Sylvia is learning. Okay, Stella is learning. Good. This is good. All right, so let's go to the second point now, right? So we've talked about your needs statement. And now let's talk about objectives. What are objectives? Objectives are the intent of the project. They indicate what the project will achieve and the time it will need to reach its goals. This is why we always talk about smart goals or smart objectives, right? Objectives should be concise, specific, measurable, and relate directly to the need. In fact, objectives should be an extension of the need statement. Did you catch that? Objectives should be an extension of the need statement. Now, in the need statement, we describe the current situation. In the objective statement, we must describe what the situation will be after we implement the project. After, right? There is this magazine, I don't know if you guys have heard this, of course, it's a popular one, that's weeping may last the night, but joy surely comes in the morning. Or another one by Robert Schuller, saying tough times never last, but tough people do. So what we're trying to do with the objectives, we're trying to describe the situation after the intervention. Your need statement is the status quo, right? Your objective statement is a reflection of what the community will look like after your intervention. Right? So think about new statement as status quo and think about objectives as, the morning after, right? The morning after, right? There's a particular song, and the morning after, even though it has nothing to do with objectives, it's a party song. Next, objectives. So let me give you an example of what this looks like. And we're going to continue from like the previous example, right? The previous example of, kids in a community where they are, smoking marijuana, right? That example. By the end of the project, according to official police records, the number of incidents involving drug use will have decreased by 10% as compared to the data for the base year 2021. By the end of the project, the number of survey students at the target school who respond that they have experimented with drugs will decrease by 50% from the results of the comparable survey conducted in May of the year prior to project implementation, right? Now, before you start writing your objectives, of course, another classwork is coming up. I want you to look at the objectives, right? Remember what I said about the need statement. Your need statement is status quo. Objectives is a reflection of the morning after. What do you intend to achieve, right? So I want you to look at how the objectives are stated here, right? Drug use will decrease by 10%. Number of students that have experimented with drugs will decrease by 50%. Now, this is very measurable. It's measurable. Why is it measurable? We know the current numbers. So it's very measurable, right? So this is what it means when you're setting a smart goal. Don't just say, oh, by the end of this project, you will reduce the number of out-of-school children. By what number? By what percentage, right? So this is what a solid objective looks like. Now, everybody, I want you to go back, especially for people that shared their statement of need earlier. This is your opportunity to follow up, right? And your opportunity to, of course, knock it out of the park this time. So I want you to write objectives, just 2 objectives for the sake of time. Write 2 objectives that speak to the need statement, that address the things that you intend to achieve, right? What do you intend to achieve by the end of the project, right? So write 2 objectives that are like a follow-up from what you shared with us earlier. And in case maybe you, because of time, you couldn't share your need statement of need, you now have the perfect example, the opportunity to share a statement of need and then share objectives. So, of course, turn to my stopwatch again. And then your time starts now, right? So for the next 5 minutes, come up with objectives, just 2 objectives. And don't wait until the time is up. If you're done with your objectives, please share in the chat box. I'm happy to review your objectives. Very happy to review them. Okay. Uchenna, objection should be an extension of need statements. Okay, Uchenna, I guess you meant objectives. So Uchenna, objective should be an extension of the need statements. Correct. American Center Lagos, working on sexual reproductive health of the adolescent girls in the community in the northern part of Nigeria and the effect on girls' education. We discovered that a lot are out of school because they cannot afford to buy sanitary products. Okay. So this need statement, I think I like the conclusion, but the introduction was a bit shaky, but I like the conclusion, right? Because they cannot afford to buy sanitary products. I mean, that's a problem. Kudirat, 50% deduction in unemployment. Kudirat, I guess you meant reduction, right? So 50% reduction in unemployment. Okay. Working on sexual reproductive health of the adolescent girls in the community in the northern part of Nigeria, we discovered a lot about personal. The XYZ organization would like to donate about 2,000 sanitary products to girls in that community every month in order to encourage girls to go back to school and also organize a training program on how to produce reusable parts. So this is like your statement of need. I get it, right? So what about the objectives? What are the objectives? By the end of the project, what are the things that you want to achieve, the tangible things you want to achieve? And you have 3 minutes, 30 seconds. So it's time to put pen to paper. Sylvia, wow, that was fast. Sylvia, 1,000 youth trained and certified in soft skills, 200 of the trained youth gaining internship placements. This is good. This is good. This is very good. Very, very good. Right? We're training 1,000 youths. We're planning 200 in internships. Very solid. Very solid. Right? So Sylvia, I mean, if I were to expand this beyond 2 objectives, for instance, it would be that probably, maybe 3 months post-training or 6 months post-training, the income of the participants, increases by maybe 100%. And that's a very easy objective to accomplish, especially when your participants are probably earning 0. No, 0 is too low. They're probably earning maybe like 20,000 per month, right? So a goal of doubling their income in 6 months is very, very visible. And aggressive goals like that get the attention of the funder, as long as it's something you can achieve. Don't go and be promising what you cannot do. Okay. Stella, by the end of this project, the enrollment of out-of-school children, okay, I guess you meant out-of-school students or out-of-school children. The target community will have increased by 20%. By the end of this project, the rate of out-of-school in the community would have reduced by 10%. Okay, Stella, I hear you. I hear you. Thank you for sharing. Sorry, let me go back. I think we're here. Okay, so Stella, thanks for sharing. Sheon is back. Yeah. With our intervention, we hope to reduce the number of girls at risk of teenage pregnancy to 0, as against 3 out of 5, knocking out teenage pregnancies in your community. Sheon is 0 visible, right? You also don't want to set goals where the funder is all of a sudden suspecting you, right? So is 0 really visible? Is that really visible? From my experience, I would say categorically that 0 is not visible, right? Even big institutions like World Bank, big organizations like and governments like the US government have still not completely knocked out some particular maybe health, let me use an example like HIV/AIDS, for example, right? Or even polio. Look at polio, for example. right? Initially, it was announced that, oh, polio has been kicked off in some countries. Now we're hearing that polio is back in those countries. So it's really hard. And we're talking about organizations that have billions of dollars in funding, but yet they're still struggling to achieve like zero rate of maybe a particular disease or infection, right? So, Shantaiwo, I'd say that's not very realistic, but you can say reduce to 1 out of 5, right? But in this case, I think the percentage, using percentages would be far better than saying maybe 1 out of 5. The 1 out of 5, 3 out of 5 would work when you are trying to describe the scale of the problem. But when you are now trying to do the objectives, it's better to just switch to percentage at that point. Kudirat, 50% reduction in unemployment, sustainability to all, most specifically youth in the community. Kudirat, I don't understand this, your second objective. Sustainability to all, what does that mean? I don't understand it. Explain. I'm looking forward to your explanation. Uche, how do you describe objectives for an online education program like a website? Uche, what is the need statement? Give us the need statement. Maybe we can help you come up with objectives. Galaxy Asset, we are positive about creating impact with this project. We hope to reach 5,000 students for the campaign and empower at least 100 students as beneficiaries of post-Black Galaxy Asset. Galaxy Asset. Galaxy Asset. How many times did I call it? 3 times. I expect objectives, bullet points. This is too long. If I'm a reviewer, I will just run away. You are chasing me away, right? I'll just run away. Your objectives should be bullet points, straight to the point, short and straight to the point, not something very long, that will scare the reviewer away, right? So Galaxy Estate, if you can rephrase, I'm happy to review it again. Shemtaiwo, following you, sir. Yeah, Shemtaiwo is following me bumper to bumper. Okay, Olu, Fumilayo Janet, Fumitaiwo. Before the 2020 pandemic, okay, I know we've read this before, so I'm going to skip straight down to objectives. Olamma Cares Foundation intends to provide quality care for 12,000 indigents that reaches out for mental health support by connecting professionals to indigents with mental health needs through Olufemilayo. The issue here is that these objectives are coming across as boring. I think to reduce ignorance about mental health issues among the residents by 50%. Yes. Now, that is something tangible, right? I like this objective, right? But the introduction, I don't know. I didn't connect with it. I think Transmit is supposed to make your sentences shorter. This is very key. Make your sentences shorter. Short sentences work better. Short sentences. Don't be using and, of, thereof, however. I'm using comma, comma, comma. Make your sentences very short. The longer your sentence, the lesser the power. Right? You want to write proposals that pack a punch, you need to use short sentences, right? Short sentences. To make available mental health care to people in the community in order to reduce breakdown and suicide by 70%. I don't know what you mean by breakdown. Do you mean mental breakdown? That's another point for you. Don't assume that the reviewer knows exactly what you're talking about. The reviewer is not in your mind. The reviewer is probably not even from your community. The reviewer does not have your educational background or your context. So don't assume that the reviewer will help you to put mental in front of breakdown. Write exactly what you mean, right? I hope we're all learning from this. Medrell Foundation. By the end of the project, 12 communities will have good drinking water. By the end of the project, Medrell Foundation will be able to carry out medical outreach to about 12 communities in Bayelsa State. Fantastic, fantastic. Right? Fantastic. I think what you can also do, Medrell Health Foundation, is to also add like the number of people, right? By the end of this project, 1,000 people in 12 communities. Because if you say 12 communities, what if those communities only have 50 people, 50 persons each, right? So don't assume that the reviewer knows the number of people in those communities, right? So Medrell, I hope that helped. Okay, American Center Lagos. 2,000 young girls will receive sanitary pads every month. 2,000 girls will be trained in batches every week on how to produce reusable pads. 2,000 girls will go back to school. So the issue with this is that this looks too good to be true. If 2,000 young girls receive sanitary pads every month, right? And you intend to still train 2,000 girls in batches every week. Well, I mean, that's possible to train 2,000 girls. But if you're saying that 2,000 girls will go back to school, it means that you're saying that all the beneficiaries will go back to school. That is not possible. All the people that you train or you reach will not do the action that you want them to do. It is not possible. No project can have 100% completion. It is not possible. It is statistically not possible. What is possible is you can say that, okay, we're going to train 2,000 girls and maybe 1,000 girls go back to school. You mean that all the girls go back to school? Some of them are not dead, right? So I hope for whoever shared this, I hope you learned that, right? You always have to make allowance for the fact that not everybody that you reach would take the action that you want. For example, out of school children, even if you buy books for them, you give them food, still not all of them will come back to class. So you need to make allowance for that. The fact that your project will not have a 100% completion rate or success rate. Bookie, new statement. Statistics show that 70% of the elderly male gender are left uncared for and gradually move into depression and mental health. What do you mean mental health? Do you mean mental health issues? From personal experience, I also discovered in our community that the elderly widower, or like the female who moves from one child's house to the other, or gets involved in religious activities, the male is withdrawn and left to himself. It is to this effect that We Care Foundation is willing to take up the elderly widower into a home where they are cared for, engaged, and find family and a new home in the old people's home. We therefore solicit your assistance. So, Bookie, your new statement is interesting. You are on the way, but you're not quite there. Right? I feel like this kind of statement is the kind that you probably will start with a story. Like Baba Sakiru was so, right? You know, one day we opened the door and found Baba Sakiru dangling from the ceiling of his house, was dead, right? So Foundation is on a mission to find and prevent, to find more Baba Sakirus and prevent their untimely death. Sometimes it's a story that you have to tell, you know, to grab attention, right? So sometimes statistics may not be enough to explain it, especially when you are trying to maybe like generate emotions around a very sensitive or emotional topic, right? Something like death, depression, these are very emotional issues. So you probably want to use stories. You can use statistics and stories, but you want to use stories. Dorothy, T. Catering, seeks to train interested candidates in the art of baking as well as empowering them. At the end of the day, we have helped. So, Dorothy, I'm looking forward to your objective. I can see your statement, so objective. Janet, yes, shorter sentences, very short. Let me give an example. My name is Olugbega Guboale, right? I live and work in Ibadan, right? I am 32 years old. Those are three separate sentences. Do you know that I could have said, my name is Olugbega Guboale, and I live and work in Ibadan, and I'm 32 years old. That's what a lot of people do. Instead of breaking those into three sentences, you now have one long, painful to read sentence, right? You don't want to do that. Oshobo window. Post-intervention enrollment in school increases by 50%. 60 parents and guardians stop engaging their children in child labor. Parents and guardians in the community host peer meetings where they talk about. Oshobo window. Is it not plenty? Very plentiful. I like that. Okay, Benjamin. The surge of diabetes, which affects 1 to 8 men and 1 in every 11 women in the Igbo community, is of concern to the majority, which has no idea what needs to do. So Benjamin, this is another case where you probably want to use a story and not just a statistic, right? Or at least dramatize it. What is the meaning of diabetes? What does it do? What is the impact, right? You are assuming a lot about the reviewer. You're assuming that the reviewer knows exactly how diabetes happens, and I can assure you that is not the case. So Benjamin, I think context is missing. Context. Utonwa is back. At the end of this project, the Ijimu Paja Road would have about 70% of the children out of the traffic area, okay? Thereby reducing automobile mishaps involving children. This will see more children in school, focus on their dreams and aspirations, and living out their childhood in a safer environment. We shall see less children being introduced to thuggery and more benefiting their families and communities alike just because they're exposed to education. Education is really better for every tribal community. So, Utonwa, the first one really came across like an objective. The other ones are more like statements because you're saying we are going to see more children in school. Put numbers. How many? What percentage? Right? Your objectives have to be measurable. If your objectives are not measurable, then you're just wishing, right? You know, you're just wishing. So, Utonwa, you caught that. Bookie, 50% reduction in the uncared for elderly widower. Bookie, well, yes. I mean, you should mention them of the community. Midro Health, thanks for the correction. You're welcome. Kudirat, sustainability to all, most specifically the youth in our community, the youth to be able to have something to sustain themselves with. Kudirat, you are losing me. You are losing me, Kudirat. You are losing me. American Center Lagos, participants will be able to start a small scale business in order to earn a living. How many participants? What percentage? What number? Uche, cervical cancer is one of the most prevalent cancers in women in Nigeria. Increased mortality rate from cervical cancer is caused by late presentation at health facilities. Increased awareness of cervical cancer will improve knowledge, screening, and presentation at health facilities. Apparently intends to use the internet to provide health education information online. It's simple, easy to. So, Uche, I like your statement of need. However, I'm not seeing the objective, so I'm looking forward to the objective, right? Oh, Kelechi, you're welcome. Utonwa, GDG, DVD. Utonwa, is this Spanish for I'm loving it? Olufumilayo, painful to read sentences, Lord have mercy. Okay, so thank you all for sharing. I hope you learned something. Now, if you learned something from the objectives from this dissection and all of that, I want you to go to the chat section right now, and I want you to type yes, 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 yes. I want to see if people are really learning from this session. If you're learning something, if this session is being useful, it's been of use to you. So okay, I can see Major, yes, Shabo, yes, Grace, yes, American Corner Protocol. Buki, yes, 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 yes. American Center Lagos, Franklin Adebayo. This is good. This is really good. Okay, so let's move on to the third point. Let's move on, which is activities, right? Activities. Activities is simply an explanation of how the project will reach its objectives, right? Remember the explanation, the example I gave earlier. Let me give an example. In 2017, and this is a very personal example. In 2017, I was weighing 55 kg. 2017. And I decided I was going to add weight. And in a space of 3 years, I added 25 kg. So by 2020, I was weighing 80 kg. No, I'm not kidding you. I was weighing 80 kg from 25 kg. Now the question is, initially I set the goal. The goal was that I was going to add weight, right? And I was going to add a particular kg, right? Now, those are like the objectives, like add weights, by social number. That's like the objectives. Your activities are how you then talk about how you're going to reach the objective. So in my case, let's go back to my personal example. The activities that I took, what I did was, number one, I started eating at specific times of the day. Number two, I started eating better. Like I started buying provision, like even till now, right? I always have provision inside my kitchen, right? Milk, Milo, golden mon, all kinds of things. So such that even if maybe I'm too lazy to cook or I don't want to cook for whatever reason, I will be able to eat something meaningful, right? And that was literally my formula: eat at specific times of the day. So which is like how I see it now, like there's pre-breakfast, there's breakfast, there's lunch, there's dinner, right? I don't skip meals. I eat at the same time every single day. And I make sure that I eat, very nutritious things. And essentially, like, that's how I added weight. So me wanting to add weight, that's the objective. The things that I did to add that weight, those are my activities, right? So I want you to pay special attention. Your activities should focus on the aspects that will resolve or prevent the problems identified in the need statement, right? Your activities should relate directly to the statement of needs, right? Your activities should be tackling those problems, right? Your activities should be, if I look at a statement of need and I look at your activities, it should make sense. It should make sense. A project should undertake only activities that will move it towards the objectives, right? Towards the objectives. Imagine if I was trying to gain weight, right? Like I was trying to do in 2017, I was trying to gain weight. Now imagine if I continue to eat junk, I continue to skip meals, do you think I would have added weight the way I added weight? No, I would not have, right? So a project should undertake only activities that will move it towards the objectives. So let me give you an example, right? Of course, I'll give you an example from my own personal life, right? So, but let me give you an example that is more related to a project, an actual project. So we're still using the example of that community where the youths are smoking marijuana. That community. Okay, drug users will participate in a special counseling program in which rehabilitated drug users and counselors in the community will provide them with personal support, letting them know the dangers of drug use and providing guidance about social activities and career possibilities. Project staff will attempt to recruit mentors from the community. Street counselors will spend 15% of their time recruiting and coordinating the counseling program. Often implementing the project requires techniques, procedures, equipment, and protocols in which project and non-project staff need training. The proposal should detail any training necessary for the implementation of the project. It's possible that during the course of implementing the project, you need training. Put it there. Now, this description should include what? Who will conduct the training? The content of the training. Who will be trained, the cost of the training, and the training schedule. In fact, it's possible that your entire project is a training. Very possible, right? So just in case you're thinking, I want to do like a training-based project, these key things should be there. Who? Look at this training, for example. This training is powered by what the American Spaces, right? And of course, American Spaces means that it's in conjunction with American Corner, right? So American Spaces, American Corners, all across the nation, right? So they organized this, put this together, right? And then they invited me as one of the facilitators. So for American Spaces, there's a very clear who. There's a program, and then they've come up with a list of facilitators. They know the who, right? And this program has been in the works for months, several months, right? So it's not just something that somebody at American Spaces just woke up one morning and said, "Oh, let's do a training tomorrow." No, right? They put in a lot of thought. They came up with the who. They came up with the content of the training. Right, most of the content that you've enjoyed so far, was prepared by American Spaces. Who will be trained, right? The focus of this training is on NGOs. Even though I know some of you, you have businesses and all of that. Don't worry, we love you like that. We will not chase you away from the core. You are welcome like that. We love you like that, right? But however, the primary target audience are NGOs, right? It's NGOs, sorry. That's the primary target audience, NGOs. Now, cost of the training, what will it cost, right? I don't want you to think that this training, because you're not paying money, is definitely just free of charge. It is free of charge to you as a beneficiary, but it is not free of cost to American Spaces. Even if it's just data that the American Spaces are spent on this program, and of course, they definitely have more costs, right? Or just opening up, the American Space and American Corners to people to come in for free. There's always a cost. Nothing is free. Anything you enjoy for free is being paid for by someone. So cost of training and then training schedule. So just in case you're thinking, oh, I want to do a training-based project, I literally just give you like a framework that you can use, the things that you should find in activities for a training. So let's go back for 1 minute. I want you to see this, right? Look at this, pay close attention, and let's move on to activities, training example. Now, as usual, we're going to have 5 minutes for the example. Oh, sorry. Let me give you an example first before I apologize, before we do the classwork, right? So example, training example. Training provided by Dr. George Ipul of the College of Social Work at Flower State University. Project staff to participate in 2 weeks of intensive training that will include the latest research on drug use, specific information on teenagers, sensitivity awareness to the various groups represented in districts, counseling techniques, and simulations of street work. Training will take place at the beginning of the project prior to opening the clinic. So those are the activities, right? This project is more focused on training, right? So look at how they broke it down. Training provided by this, project staff will do this, training will take place this, right? So this is what activities look like, right? This is where you list out the things you are going to do. What are the things you are going to do in the project? That's what your activity, the activity section is all about. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the next classwork, and you have 5 minutes to come up with activities for this project proposal that you are designing. So, your time starts now. If, for example, if you have questions, you have comments, by all means, you can drop it. We have 5 minutes, so by all means, if you have questions, comments, you have a contribution, you can raise your hand, you can drop a comment in the chat. And once you're done with your list of activities, by all means, drop it in the chat box so that I can give you feedback. Right? Mid-Royal Foundation. I'm waiting. I can see that you've dropped activities, so give us the bullets. What's on them? Give it to us. Hot. Oh, yeah, let's go there. So to help us, I'm going to leave this slide up. This is an example of what your activity can look like. Now, don't forget, the reason why this looks like this is because it's training. This example is training focused. That's why it looks like this. So your activities are expected to be different. I don't expect to see training in your activity if there's no training involved in your intervention. So I don't expect your own activities to be a replica of this, right? So it really depends on the intervention and what you have in mind, right? So it's totally up to you. IAAY, seminars, workshops, IAAY, please add flesh to this. I don't understand what you've written. Please explain. Regina Obasa, determine the topic. Regina, what do you mean by determining the topic? Are you talking about the project topic? Are you asking a question or watching your appetite to your activities or your upcoming activities? Two minutes gone. You have 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Regina, determine the topic. Regina, maybe if you can unmute your mic and explain, because I'm lost. And don't even ask me the season of Lost that I'm in right now, because it's probably like season 10 of Lost. I'm very lost. So Regina, if you can unmute your mic and share, that would really help. Activities. The statement of need is you talking about the problem that you've observed and stressing the importance of the problem, right? Your objectives talk about the things you want to achieve, right? Statement of need is status quo, objectives equals morning after, right? The things you want to achieve, how the world will look like, after your intervention, right? The tangible things you want to achieve. The objectives should be measurable. And then activities are what? Are the actual steps you're going to take to achieve those objectives and tackle the needs. 3 minutes, 30 seconds, we're on track. Fumi Taiwo. Activities, collaboration with community stakeholders from mental health awareness seminars in schools, recreational centers, and religious worship centers, at least 10 times a month. 10 times a month. Interesting. Teletherapy services being made available for 24 hours, 7 days of the week. Very interesting. Provision of working therapy centers in strategic places in the community, at least 3 centers, 5 working days a week. Fumi Taiwo. Looking very good. Your activities look like actual activities, looking very good. IAAY, you to be giving practical training on how to produce any machines on maintenance, any machines and maintenance. IAAY, so this is not realistic. You can't say any machine, right? There are possibly thousands, maybe millions of machines, but let's take thousands or even hundreds of machines, right? So practical training on what? On what? If your activities are not specific, the reviewer would think that you are either scatterboard or don't even know what you're talking about, right? So you need to be very, very specific. Activity level is what you will do. So you cannot be generic with it. You have to say, we're going to do training on, for example, this training now, training on grant writing, right? To strengthen NGOs, to help them attract funding, right? Imagine American Spaces. Imagine that American Spaces had to write a proposal, to get funding for this program. This is how the activities will look like now, right? Practical training to help NGOs attract grant funding, to help them become eligible, right? To help them acquire the knowledge and the skills required to put together great grant proposals, right? So just give me an example. Imagine if American Spaces were to write, a proposal, for example, the activities will look similar to what we're doing right now, which is training, the training component. Okay, how many minutes do we have before we move on? We have, this is already 5 minutes, 43 seconds. Any other person wants to share with us very quickly so that I can take feedback? Oshobo window, engage community leaders and gatekeepers to get buy-in. Identify Oshobo window, use numbers next time, numbers of bullet points. Identify the children in the community that are engaged in child labor, very good. Identify the responsible parents and guardians, sensitize the parents, guardians, and community leaders on the arms of child labor and against education. Give scholarships to children engaged in child labor. This is mostly good. Oshobo window, this is really good. Shem Taiwo, 20 girls will be educative training on Shem Taiwo. You're losing me. Do you mean 20 girls will be educated on? Let's assume that's what you meant. Preventive safe sex. The need to embrace education as a means to curbing poverty. It is to be done by Dr. O of Sunshine Foundation and Mrs. A of Youth Alive Foundation. 10 female-headed households will be supported to start or scale up their businesses and learn a skill. Now, the thing about, so Sean, the issue that I have here is that your activity still, this second one is sounding like an objective. 10 female headed household will be supported to start. How will they be supported? How? How? This is still coming across like an objective. This is an activity, not an objective. You can't just say they will be supported. How will you support them? Are you going to give them tools? Will you give them money? How will you support them? So don't leave room for ambiguity. Don't leave room for ambiguity. Medro Health Foundation will approach table water companies in Yeluga to provide 3 bags of table water. Okay. So about 200 families. So Medro Health Foundation, this is what I'm saying about long sentences. Your sentences are, I don't even know. This is a super long sentence. Break it. This is probably like 3 sentences, but because it's long together, I'm struggling to make sense of it. Booking, activities for the elderly widowers home. Booking, thank you for numbering. Thank you for numbering, right? Look at my examples. Look at the examples on my screen. I use bullet points now. So you should, do likewise. Do likewise. Don't give us one long sentence because it makes it difficult to review your work. Booking, activities for the elderly widowers home. A ratio of 1 attached staff to the home. A ratio of 1 attached staff of the home to 3 widower. Okay, a ratio of 1 attached staff of the home to 3 widower. I'm struggling to understand this first one. A proper balanced meal each day, a routine medical checkup once a quarter. These are activities. So when you say a proper balanced meal, what do you mean? What does that mean? Do you mean that you're going to provide proper balanced meal? These are the things you are going to do. So a proper balanced meal does not sound like an activity. It sounds like a statement. So Buki, rephrase. Stella, activities, baseline survey of school population, needs assessment, engagement of artisans of furniture making, supply of furniture, commissioning. Stella, you're on fire. This is good. This is good. Well done. Regina, women to be trained on skills on installation of solar panels to provide energy at the Women Energy Institute at Ikeja. Regina, good. Good. Right. But I'll prefer that you break this up into maybe 2 sentences. And then the way you started, you have to mind your, your punctuation, because women, for example, like your grammar, women start with capital W. American Santa Lagos, the XYZ organization will hold sensitization programs for the adolescent and young girls in the community. Teachers will also be sensitized on the best practices on how to relate to young girls. Okay, I'm skipping. Sanitary parts production classes will start afterwards. So American Santa Lagos, I think Kelechi, what you want to use, you want to use action words, right? And say things like train teachers on how to use, right? Provide sanitary parts for, you want to use action words, don't use passive verbs, use active verbs. Regina, Ministry of Energy will be contracted to sponsor the ladies. Okay, I think the context is a bit lost. Medro, approachable water companies. Kudirat, seminar workshop by Rotary International for different schools. 2, youth skill acquisition. Seminar workshop on what? Youth skill acquisition on what skills? Kudirat. 4, $2,000. What's the meaning of $2,000? Kudirat, you are losing me. You are losing me. Medro. Proof 3 table water bags per family. Medro, rephrase. Okay. So well done, everybody. Activities. I hope this forces us to reconsider how we've been writing proposals, how we write proposals going forward, right? And at least to reflect on how we've been writing proposals in the past, right? Because this is very, very practical. And so what we're going to do right now is we are going to take a 5-minute break. 5-minute break, no class break. We just finished the class. So we're going to take a 5-minute break. So in case you need to go use the restroom, grab something to drink or eat, this is your chance. So we're going to take a 5-minute break. And when we return, we will move on to point number 4, right? Point number 4. So you've already written your activities. So point number 4, which is personnel, when we return. So 5-minute break, and the time starts now. See you in 5 minutes. ready, 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 ready. I want to see the people who are ready. Shelter, oh, you could tell it was food, yes. Yes, and it was not bread, right? Couldn't wait. So ready, 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 ready. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Wow, this is good. This is good. Katora is ready, Regina is ready, Ife is ready. This is good. American Santa Lagos, of course, ready. Fantastic. Okay, so let's go straight to the slides and personnel. The personnel section shows the persons who will be assigned or hired to implement project activities. It shows that the persons who will be assigned or hired to implement project activities have the skills and experience necessary for a successful program. Obviously, the most important person is the director, right? The project director is the #1 person, and that's the person that runs the project. Even in an NGO, the project director is the one person who is directly responsible for the project. That does not necessarily mean the founder is the project director. No. In fact, in very big NGOs, of course, they have different project directors, right, for different projects. So the bigger the NGO, the less likely the possibility that the founder or the director of the NGO will be the project director. It should cite other projects the director has operated successfully and any specific training he or she has that is relevant to the project goals. Essentially, like the personnel, you want to show that you have high quality people who have done high quality things. That's the whole essence of this, because funders don't just back ideas or companies, they back the people, right? It's the people, they back the people, right? So you have to understand that they back the people. Okay, now let me give you an example. Sorry, just a minute. Okay, so look at this example. Ben Arnold. Now, we are still sticking with our project, that community where the students and young people are smoking marijuana, right? We're sticking with that project. Ben Arnold will direct the project. Mr. Arnold received his bachelor's in psychology from Arizona University and an MS, that's a master's in social work from the University of Michigan. He's also a certified addictions counselor. Are you with me? Certified addictions counselor. This man is qualified. He has taught for 16 years in Sunflower School District and has coached several sports. For the past 4 years, he has been a counselor at Independence High School and has worked closely with students who abuse drugs. For the past 6 years, he has directed successful counseling programs, pilot testing many of the techniques to be used in this project. During last year's winter's break, Mr. Arnold directed a 2-week residential camp for past drug users. Can you see? He has directed even a similar project before, right? So write your own personal info, right? This time around, well, you still have 5 minutes, but I'll be taking questions and comments right in between. So the time has started. Now, the project that you've been pitching since morning, right? I want you to go back to that project and write your personal info. So you've already talked about the activities, for example. Who are the people that you need, right? So in your case, you can pick maybe the project director and talk about him, or you can talk about 2 different people, maybe the project director or the person that will train people on maybe his skill. Let me give an example. So let's say your project involves, say, digital skills training. You can dedicate the paragraph to talk about maybe the chief trainer for the digital skills and introduce the person. Say, oh, Ali is this. He has this application from this, and he will be training the kids on how to do this, right? So I want you to zero in on the people that you will need for this project and introduce them to us, right? So you can pick 1 person or you can pick 2 persons. Don't go more than 2, and don't use more than 4 paragraphs, right? Don't use more than 4 paragraphs. You can use 1 paragraph, 2 paragraph, 3 paragraph, or 4 paragraphs if you like, right? But I want you to introduce us to the people who will breathe life into this project, who will drive the project. So the time has started. We're already 1 minute into it, but I'm on ground if you have questions or comments, right? So, Kudirat, seminar workshop on who will train you, cost of training, $2,000. So Kudirat, your cost of training cannot be under your activity. That will be under your budget, right? Or probably your project narrative, right? Activity simply is about what you want to do. Fundraising can be part of the activity. So if you are going to talk about, maybe you're going to raise funding from fundraising can be part of the activity, but you can't say cost of training 2,000, and then that's part of the activity? No, that's not part of the activities. Oshogbo window on America. What's the difference between conceptual framework and logical framework? Is referencing compulsory conceptual framework and logical framework. Okay, so the conceptual framework, for example, is every single thing we're talking about. The conceptual framework are the key elements that are expected to be seen in a proposal, right? So, and we mentioned that we've talked about needs statement, objectives, right? Now we're talking about personnel, right? So everything that is expected in a grant proposal is your conceptual framework. Your logical framework is your theory of change. That's your theory of change. That's your logical framework. That's your theory of change. The theory of change is inputs, activities, outputs, outcome, impact, right? That's a logical framework. Is referencing compulsory need statements. By all means, you want to back up your claims with proof, with evidence. By all means, all right? Number 3, is there a difference between objectives and goals of the project? It depends. Sometimes they are one and the same, right? Other times the funder might actually say something like, oh, what are the objectives and what are the goals, and they will separate it, but they will give you like pointers and give you examples. So if in a particular RFP, objective and goals are not separated, you have to assume they are one and the same, right? But if they are separated, then you have to separate them. It means that like your objectives are the things you intend to achieve, concrete things, and then goals are more forward-looking, they are more futuristic, right? So your goal, for instance, can be to train maybe 6,000 people over a two-year period, right? So goals are generally speaking more long-term focused, whereas objectives are more short-term focused. So that's it. So the answer number 3 is depends. That's the answer number 3. We still have time. I know some of you are already working on your personnel, you're describing yourself. And by all means, please, this is a classwork, right? So it doesn't have to be true. You can cook up things and say Mr. A or Mr. Kokoma has a BSc in psychology, a master's in histology, a PhD in criminology. Of course, I'm just making these things up, right? But just write something that makes sense and aligns with like your project, right? If you could pick any expert in the world to work on the project, who would you pick? What would the CV of the person look like, right? And if you're already done, go to the comment section right now, drop it there. If you're already done, looking forward to reviewing your personnel statements. And if you have questions too, by all means, tracking the time. We have 30 seconds to go on this example and the classwork. Oshogbo window. Is it professional to email the funder asking for more information about what kind of projects they fund and answer proposals they would accept? Oshogbo window, you can't ask the funder, will I write a proposal that you accept? No. But the first part of your question, yes, you can ask the funder for more information about what kind of projects, only if it is not already on their website. For most funders, they already have like past projects on their website. So instead of emailing the funder, just go to their website and check it out. But if an information is not, let me give an example. For instance, a few weeks ago, I sent an email to the funder asking for clarification on a particular grant. Why? Because on that grant, they didn't put the number of people, number of beneficiaries, right? There was a lot of gray areas around like the beneficiaries, the size and scale of the grants, right? And some of our clients were asking me, now, as CEO of Grandmaster, a lot of requests around, can I apply for this? Should I apply for this? And typically we discourage our clients from applying for grants where it's only be just one winner or two winners. The probability that you win it is so low, right? Except you're a very, very big fish. So I really wanted to know if they had money for a lot of people, or if it was just one winner, because that was not clear. So yes, if you have a question like that, by all means, email the funder, by all means. Sorry, I'm trying to take the questions. So Oshogbo window, I hope I've answered the question. Uche, cervical cancer is one of the most prevalent cancers in women in Nigeria, increased mortality rates. Our project intends to use the internet to provide health education. How can I create sample objectives for this? What do you intend to achieve as a result of this project? Do you intend to reduce the, do you intend to increase the awareness of cervical cancer? If yes, increasing the awareness of cervical cancer by maybe 50% in the particular community is an objective, right? Or training 100 young women at risk of cervical cancer on how to best protect themselves, right? That's what an objective looks like. It's concrete, right? It's concrete. It's what you want to achieve. Remember what I said about objectives. Objectives are the day after, right? The morning after, right? Your statement of need is the status quo. Your objective is the morning after. What will the morning after look like after your intervention, right? So Uche, I hope that helped. Uche, you're welcome. So please, is there anybody who has written something about personnel? Buki, finally, he came true. Project director, elderly widowers home. Anuako has a BS in psychology from Stanford. I guess you meant Stanford University, right? But guys, pay attention to your grammar. Pay attention to your grammar. When you are doing grammar like this, you are distracting the reviewer from focusing on your projects, focusing on your errors, right? So Buki, go and sing no more. Anuako has a BS in psychology from Stanford University. Is a certified medical social worker and a trained caregiver with 15 years experience. 11 years are out of it done outside the country. Buki. How many times did I call you? Sentence is too long, right? Hannah Nwako has a BS in psychology from Stanford University. One sentence. She's a certified medical social worker and a trained caregiver with 15 years of experience. Another sentence. 11 years of experience was garnered outside of the country, and then you can mention those places, maybe in France and Europe. Another sentence, right? So we can make sure that the sentences are not too long. But this looks good. I mean, Anne really does have quite the CV, right? BSc, you know, and then BSc from Stanford, not from Michael University, from Stanford. I mean, it's fantastic, right? Oh, Buki, you were counting. Nice. Any other person? Any other personal example before we move on? Going. Utonwa, thanks for coming through. To facilitate the counseling, we shall be working with Mr. Sheye Oyabule, founder of Child's Play Arena, a child psychologist, a fun motivator for children with slow development and those who have behavioral lapses, with 2 decades, plural, of college experience in child psychology. So Utonwa, nice, very nice, right? Now, if maybe the people you want to work with, if they also have fellowships, right? You can introduce fellowships. It's not just about degree. Right, MSc, BSc, PhD. It can also be fellowships. This person is a fellow of this, right? This person has won awards, right? Has won awards, right? So you can use fellowships, awards, anything showing that this person is legit, right? This person is legit. Regina, Mrs. Titi Odusi, trained as a geologist in Obafemi. So instead of at Obafemi Awolowo University. For me, I'm looking forward to a very robust example. I can't say that yet. Shemtaiwo, Dr. Oo is the founder of Dr. Oo. Shemtaiwo, no, you can't use Dr. Oo. You can say Dr. Ola something, Olatinwo. You can't use Oo. You can't use initials. Nope. You have to use the person's full name. Who is Oo? We don't know who that person is. But let me read it. It's the founder of Sunshine Initiative, a not-for-profit organization that provides psychosocial. In the past 5 years, our organization has supported about 2,100 survivors in grassroots communities. She's a fellow of the Minority Fellowship, thank you, and has won numerous awards in the humanitarian space. If you can list those awards, by all means, list them. So, Shemtaiwo, I hope you got that. American Santa Lagos. Okay, this is from Cynthia. Dr. Els Leah, who is a senior healthcare counselor with the project. Good. She's a medical doctor with long years. I mean, don't put long years there. Long is relative. 2 weeks can also be long. I mean, it's my long, it's not your long, right? So long is very debatable. Long is debatable. So be specific. How many years of experience? In sexual reproductive health and rights she's a medical doctor with long years of experience in sexual reproductive health and rights for girls for over 10 years. Now I'm lost. Are you talking about girls that are over the age of 10 years, or are you talking about the experience? So don't leave room for ambiguity. Don't leave room for ambiguity. She will be assisted by Professor Uju, who is a professor of education at the University of Nigeria, and also an activist. Watch your grammar. Kelechi, watch your grammar. Watch your grammar. Don't distract the reviewer with poor grammar. Kelechi, do better. Olufumilayo, project director, Shegun Matthews, PhD, trained, you're trained. I'm saying double N. psychiatry nurse from Middleton University, UK. Practiced as a psychiatry nurse for a period of 5 years in the UK. He doubles as a member of the board of directors and also a lecturer of a professional counseling school, AJI, for the past 7 years. A CBT certified therapist. For me, it's very plenty. I can see that probably because of the space limits, you could, say what you wanted to say. So I hope you understand what this personnel should look like. Let me give you an example of, I'm going to use my own profile to give you an example of what is expected. And by the way, you should have a profile for yourself and for your team members. You should have like profile, right? So that maybe if you're invited to speak somewhere, or you want to apply, invited to speak there, that one is even small. You want to apply for a grant proposal, right? And you need to write about your personnel. You should have different types of profiles. So this is a 76-word profile of myself. I'm going to share with you guys now. This is a 76-word profile, right? So if maybe I'm being invited somewhere to speak, right, and I don't want them to be reading something very long, I'll just give them 76-word version. Or I'm applying for a grant and I want to talk about myself and hype myself, I'm going to give them this version. Now it depends. If I have time and space to talk a lot about myself, maybe a full profile is required. Maybe it's a proposal that I'm writing, or I'm invited to speak somewhere, or for whatever reason, maybe I'm about to feature somewhere. I have a 260-word version that I use, right? And I am going to share, because of the space, I don't think this would be, I'm coming, this, because of the space, let me, 260 words version. I'm going to try to share it, hopefully. I want you to just see what a proper profile looks like. Right. So that, yes, so that's it. So if you check, that's my bio. I have like 3 different types of bio. There's a 76-word version, there's a 195-word version, there's a 260-word version. So it makes my work easier if I'm applying for a grant and then I need to leave like some part of it for the proposal, to strengthen the proposal. It's just copy and paste from it. It's very easy. So for everybody on this call, you should have a bio for yourself. You are important. You are very important, right? VVIP. Have profiles for yourself. And if you want to, copy by style, you can also have like different, word limits for yourself. Maybe 50-word version, 100-word version, 200-word version. So I hope that I hope someone on this call finds that useful. Kudirat Jones is founder and president of Media Street Productions, an award-winning media company in Windsor. She was chair of the board of governors at the University of Windsor and chair of Windsor Excess Regional Chamber of Commerce. She has been recognized for her service with the YMCA Peace Medallion, the Queen's. Okay, so Kudirat, I think the only thing that is missing here is you're not telling us what Jones will do, right? It's important to hype Jones, but you should also mention what Jones will be doing as regards the project. So I hope that we've learned 1 or 2 things from Sheon Taiwo. Sheon is here, it's plenty, it's very plenty. Okay, so let's move on from personnel, right? Let's move on from personnel. By the way, let me digress for a minute. I hope, how many of you can relate that it can be really weird when maybe like you're invited to a place to speak and they're reading your profile and they're saying all these sweet things that you wrote by yourself, of course, and that are true, right? But they're saying all those things and then you're asking yourself in your head, like, is it really me? Like, you're feeling yourself. It's a very weird feeling. You're feeling yourself, but you're like, have I really done this too? Is it really me? And then you're humble in this just very funny, weird way. How many of you can relate? And they are reading your profile and just like, you're feeling yourself, but of course you cannot misbehave, right? But especially when it's a physical event and then you're standing and they say stand off or citation, right? And then somebody will be carrying your bag, you also be feeling like a very important person. That feeling can be very, very weird. How many of you can relate to what I'm saying? You can relate. Anybody? I'm looking forward to your feedback. Sheon Taiwo, I can relate. This small me, I'd say those times. Sheon, right? Those are the few times that you question yourself. You're like, God is doing good work in my life. Major Foundation. Okay, thank you for sharing. All right. So, Franklin can relate. Okay, thank you. This can also relate, right? So that's on a lighter note, of course. So let's move on to the next point, which is writing your personal info. Of course, we've done the classwork, so we can move on to point number 5. Point number 5 is evaluation, right? Funders want to know that the money will be well spent, and they want to know who is going to benefit from the project and to what extent. Evaluation is a means of showing funders that they are capable, reliable, and can be trusted with future grants. You can impute your own name here or impute the name of your NGO here, right? Evaluation is a way of showing potential funders that you are what? You are capable, you are reliable, right? You can be trusted with money. That's what evaluation is all about. Now, a summative evaluation will be conducted. Sorry, I'm coming just a minute. Let me show first. A summative evaluation will be conducted for the project objectives relating to reducing drug use. We have gone back to our example, right? We know that community where you small children and youths, young people in the community and students, they are smoking marijuana. The data will be collected and analyzed annually. The evaluator will use official police records to ascertain the extent to which incidents involving students who have tried to sell or have sold drugs have decreased, and whether that reduction is at least 10% as compared to the base year, right? So I want you to look at how this program will be evaluated. Evaluation is measurement. How do you show that the project is doing or has done what you claim to do, right? That's evaluation. The evaluator will assess students, sorry, just a minute. Student perception of drug use by conducting a survey that duplicates the survey administered prior to project implementation, right? So there are three kinds of surveys. There's the baseline survey. The baseline survey is your status quo survey. Baseline survey is when you're trying to figure out how many people are, let me use Nigerian slang, how many people are muboing, right? Yoruba. The way I ask the question is, I'm made alone mubo, right? In English, in Nigerian English, I'll say, how many people are muboing? But of course, in corporate English, right? How many students are smoking marijuana, right? So the baseline survey is where we are figuring out what is the status quo, right? So there's baseline survey, there's midline survey. Midline survey is right in the middle of the project, you're trying to figure out what has changed so far. That's midline survey. Post-intervention survey is the survey you take after the intervention. And sometimes you can have post-intervention survey. It can be immediately after, can be 3 months after, can be 6 months after. In fact, in some cases, 1 or 2 years after. Yes, especially for multi-year projects. You can do like M&EC on 2 years after the project has concluded, right? So I hope you're getting what evaluation is all about. This survey will be administered to a stratified random sample of students in the target school. The survey will gather data on the extent to which students are opposed to drugs. Can you see? We know the focus of the survey. Good. The evaluator will determine if 50% fewer students have never tried drugs at the end of the project compared to the beginning of the project, meaning that we are going to compare the post-intervention survey to the baseline survey, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what evaluation looks like, right? It's simply how you're going to measure, the project, how you're going to know whether it's successful or not. That's what evaluation is all about. So, depending on the project, your evaluation would probably be different. But some of the things that are usually like uniform are things like survey, right? A lot of projects use find a way to codify it, right? So surveys are a very useful instrument for evaluation, right? But then how you use the survey is something that is unique to your project, right? You can't just do copy and paste and say, this survey, I will do survey. What are you measuring? What are you looking out for? So, back to our classwork on evaluation, right? And I'm starting my time. As usual, we have 5 minutes. As usual, time has started, right? So I want to write an evaluation briefing this project. So far, by the end of this class, we'll have written an entire project proposal, right? You should be proud of yourself right now, right? You should be proud of yourself. By the end of this class, we will have written an entire project proposal. Now, let's go back to that project that you've been writing about since morning, right? You're writing about since 11 a.m. that project that you're writing, proposal you're writing, and I want you to write an evaluation plan. Now we know your activities, you know your objectives. How would you evaluate, the project? So write an evaluation plan and tell us how you're going to measure the project, right? So let me leave. I want to see what should I leave on my screen. Okay, let me leave. Leaving this on my screen. Sorry, just a minute. Okay, yes. And while the time is ticking, I'm happy to take your questions or comments or feedback. So I'm actively monitoring the chat box. Okay, Regina just shared. Mrs. Services is a fellow Nigerian Association of Petroleum Explorationists. Has 20 years experience in energy related projects. So, Regina, we want to break this into two sentences. This is too long. Chancellor of clean energy, and then there's so much space about clean energy, and then the production instrument. The sentences are so long. Break them apart. Break them into short sentences. Bookie, your profile is loaded. Is there a website for those? Yes, Bookie, thank you for your kind words. There's a website for those. It's toast.today. It's toast.today. That's the website. So please, if you have questions, if you have comments, go to the comment section and type it there. Please let us know how you intend to evaluate your project, right? We have been 10 minutes before we end today's class. So I'd like us to really accelerate and drop our evaluation plan. How will you measure your intervention? How will you measure it? If you're done, please drop it straight away in the comment section. I'm looking forward to your responses. By the way, I mean, if somebody had told you that you would write a full load proposal today, I'm sure you probably would have done it. It's not possible. But that's exactly what you're doing, right? That's exactly what you're doing. So by the end of this class, you would have written the full load proposal. Two more minutes. 2 more minutes. We have around 1 minute, 15 seconds to go on this class one. I look forward to reviewing your evaluation plan. $60 seconds to go. It looks like the evaluation plan is tough. $30 seconds to go. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 5 minutes. Wow, nobody has shared. Finally, it's like you guys are waiting 5 minutes on the videos. You're like, he doesn't even give me half a pound, right? Okay, thanks for sharing. So, let's go. Stella, evaluation. We shall evaluate the increase in enrollment to the admission rate of school. Good. We shall evaluate the rate of retention of pupils in primary school through the attendance register. Okay. We shall assess the rate of completion in the school through the final exams. Is it through the final? When you say through the final exams, is it the number of people that take the final exams or the pass rates? So Stella, we need to be very clear. Or you can even both, right? One way to measure if education has taken place, if information has been passed across this, to look at you can look at attendance, you can look at completion, or you can look at the pass rate. Because if 100 people attend the class, 100 people write the exam, and only 5% pass the exam, it means there's a problem somewhere. So, Stella, I hope you know that. Number 4, we shall also access the job the rate of out of school in the community. How will you do that? How will you do that? How will you do that? So Stella, you need to tell us how, right? Are you going to take a survey, right? You need to be very specific about your evaluation plan. So Stella, are you, that is noted. Regina, the only woman in the energy has rated 20 women in BDS who have been enabled to access grants. Stella, I'm looking forward to your evaluation plan. So Stella, come back with an evaluation plan. Sure. At the end of the calendar year, we will check how many girls of the 2020 were able to stay through the school without getting pregnant. Fantastic. Of the 10 female headed households support with money, we supported with money. What's your grammar? We supported with money to start the business. How many got better with their finances? So instead of saying how many got better with their finances, you need to find a way to put that in the right thing, right? Maybe you can measure the change in their income. How many got better with their finances is relative. If I was earning 15 naira before, now I'm earning 51 naira, did I get better with my finances? So you need to find a way to measure it, right? You can say a 10% increase in income, 50% increase in income, right? It has to be measured. American Space Management, thank you for today's presentation. American Space Management, you're welcome. Sheldon, will you rush those big? I don't complain on the usual. Oh, Sheldon! Oh, Sheldon, yes. Your sins are forgiving you. Yes, I know. Because you were working very fast, you were working. What we did today is literally, an installment of Fast and Furious, the movie series, right? So, yes, I understand. The press of rushing, probably 1 or 2 grammar errors. But I'm just sharing for the sake of emphasis. When the writing results, make sure that you pay attention to the grammar. You can use software like Grammarly, for example, right? So it can help double check your work and ensure that you don't have grammar errors. Bookie, could you please explain evaluation again? Bookie, evaluation is how you measure your project, your intervention, right? All of the things that you say you're going to achieve under your objectives, right? In fact, if you want to do evaluation, just copy and paste, copy your objectives, paste it into the evaluation, and figure out, okay, how do I measure this thing? If your objective you said you're going to reduce the number of out-of-school children by 10%. Under evaluation, the question is, how are you going to measure that? Are you going to maybe do a survey, right? Or are you going to use school attendance register? So, okay, evaluation is about measurements. How will you measure your objectives? As simple as that. Shontaro, at the end of the calendar year, we'll check how many girls of the 20 were able to stay to school right now. It's shown submitting again. Of the 10 female households supported women to start a business, how many got better organized? Show, I'm giving you feedback on this, so I'm sure you know that this second evaluation cannot fly. Metro, we'll take a feedback from families we have feedback on. Okay, but Metro, this is feedback. What are you measuring exactly? Right? Metro, you're losing me. The evaluation will assess community members' awareness of mental health issues as a pre and post test of intervention, which we administer to random members of the community. So we'll gather data on the extent which members of the community has been comfortable with social and mental health. So we'll gather information on the community and from the party intervention. Okay, fair enough, right? But I think my question would be that this evaluation plan should be a mirror of your objectives. Right? It should be a mirror of your objectives. So I think that's something that is missing. Wow, so actually the results today. Yes, that's what you've done today. You've written a proposal. You're not done yet. You're about to finish. I'm not done yet. Basic community survey of knowledge in the community, post-intervention survey of knowledge of cancer and screening facilities. Survey of how many women in the facilities. So, attendance is not enough, right? How many women present at the facility? What do you mean by how many women present at the facility? Are you saying that even people that keep supply in that facility are totally captured? You have to be specific. How many women present at training facility, or how many maybe how many trainees attended all sessions? So this is the last evaluation point is very controversial. You're living room for ambiguity. Don't leave room for ambiguity, right? When you write, what your intent should be very clear, 100% clear, as clear as water. Chairman, is evaluation a simple measurement from our perspective, not necessarily with support of an expert. So Chairman depends. For complicated projects, you may need the support of an expert, right? So it depends on how complex the project is. You may not need an expert, right? Wow, I've taken all the questions. This is good. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. Let's move on to final points. Let's move on to our final points, which is the budgets. The budgets, right? The budgets. Sorry, just a minute. The budgets. Okay. The budget should reflect the costs of the items and activities described in the project narrative portion of the proposal, right? So when we're talking about your activities, right, your budget is where you can put a price. You put a price tag on every single activity, right? So your budget should reflect the costs of all the items that you mentioned, of all the things that you mentioned under your activities, right? So that's what the budget is about. If an item is not described and justified in narrative, it should not appear in the budget. Please, I hope you are paying attention to this. If an item is not described and justified in the narrative, it should not appear in the budget. If an item is listed in the narrative, it should show up in the budget. How can I explain this? If I take a look at your budget, I should have a rough idea of what your proposal looks like. If I take a look at your proposal, I should be able to have a rough idea of what your budget will look like. There should be no disconnect between your proposal and your budget. There should be no disconnect. This is what I just said, right? The relationship should, and between budget and project section should be so tight that the reader can understand what the project is by simply reading the budget. That's what I just said. So now this is sorry, let me go back. Not forget. Now, this time around, we're not using the budget for the marijuana, companies now, where they have the problem with due to that marijuana. We're not going to use that budget, we're going to use a different budget. The reason is because that particular budget is very complicated, and I just wanted something simple that we relate to. So this budget is an actual budget by an actual project that is being implemented right now. It's a cyber hygiene app, it's a Google funded project. And the project itself is $9,058. And this is the actual budget, right? Actual budget. So let me give you an overview of what, okay, let's experiment. From this budget, what do you think this project is about? Because you know what I just said is that by looking at somebody's budget, you don't tell what the project is about. So let's experiment now. Let's do it test. By looking at this budget, what is this project about? Please go to the comment section right now and drop it down. Don't worry, it's not a time for class. It's not a time for class. Okay. Right? So I need your feedback. I need your feedback. What is this project about? What is it about? Go to the comment section. What is it about? Anybody? Do you want to try? Anybody? What do you think this project is about? Cyber hygiene app development, cyber training. Okay, so cyber training for schools. Bookie is absolutely correct. Franklin Adebayo, cyber hygiene app, correct, right? So Bookie and Franklin and let me see, who are the people who responded with America Center Lagos, Bookie, Franklin, correct, right? Stella, it's not data content writing. No, it's not data content writing. But Stella, I think I understand where you're coming from, right? I understand how this would look like digital content. I get where you're coming from. Uche, health education app on site training. No, because of the hygiene part, I get. So because it's cyber hygiene, so you know that it's not health, right? It's cyber, it's internet related. So the project itself is about promoting cyber hygiene among schools, meaning that. So this is what we're trying to do with the project. We're trying to tackle cyber in schools, right? Because bullying has gone cyber. Remember when in primary school, the way we fight fear someone is we meet after school, right? I'm not talking with Dre and understand this is my father's house, that's my father's house. So yeah, we start fighting, right? I remember I was involved in the one thing I fought in primary school, right? The one thing I fought like this, I remember that I went back to my house to be very stolen place, right? And I couldn't tell people what happened to me. What happened to me, I just start crying. I remember the one time I tried to fight, right? So, okay. And the lessons with me. Now, that was how we fought on my primary school then. We would try to land the sign and say, this is my father's house, that's your father's house. Cross the line, and then blow starts. But in 2022, the way police treat people is mostly online, right? Probably somebody's removed from a WhatsApp group, somebody's compromising pictures, put them online, right? And so what we're trying to do with this project is to educate young people, especially students in schools, on cyber hygiene and how to protect themselves from cyber bullies. And that's the entire premise of the project. So I'm glad that quite a number of people were able to figure it out by just have a budget, right? And that's a good sign, because if nobody was able to figure it out, it means that this project is, it's crap, right? Now, pay attention to this budget, right? I want you to look at the line items. Can you see that the items literally talk about every single thing that we intend to do? Look at the last item there, monitor and evaluation. So, stipend for content writers, because if you are building the mobile app, there has to be content, video content, written content. Somebody has to create it, spend for content writers, right? If you're shooting videos, you need to record, you need to edit, spend for video editors. The app will not just magically appear in the Play Store, in the Play or App Store. You need to know, right? Placement of the app, you have to pay the gatekeepers. How will you promote this app when eventually it's ready? You need to use Google Ads, right? Listen to them. How will you go to these schools to go and sell to them, right? You need to go to schools. You need money to transport the applications to the 5 schools. The instructors that will train repair and logistics, planning and evaluation. This is what a budget looks like. This is a very simple budget, right? But essentially, this captures the essence of what a budget should look like. List every single thing, right? Everything you talk about the activity, come and put the cost to it now. Put the cost to it. How many units do you need? What does the unit cost? How much? Right? So, and for the final classwork of the day, I want you to draft a very simple budget. And because of our time, I want to just draft a budget that has a maximum of 4 items, just 4 items, right? So list your items, give us the units, the amounts, and total your budget. So draft a budget. For this budget, you have 3 minutes. I'm not giving you 5 minutes for this. You have 3 minutes, and your time starts now. Draft your budget. Go back to that project. The project you're working on, right? That proposal that you're working, right? So give us a budget. The budget should not have more than 4 items. Pay attention to my instruction, no more than 4 items. And so looking forward to reviewing your budget. Make sure that budget does not more than 4 items, and make sure that it's in line with the project. Those are like the right things in the project. So budget. One minute gone. 2 minutes to go. One more minute to go. Twenty seconds to go. Okay. So I can see some of the answers already now. And yes. So Shell trainers fee for 20 girls, 2 or 20K. Okay, so that's 2. Expensive, that's 40K. So when you say 40K, Shell, I don't understand. This 40K now, this K now. Is it copper? Is this CDs? Is it dollars? What currency? So Shell, what I see, what you're waiting, I don't understand this, right? I don't understand this. You are assuming that your reviewer is in Nigerian and that the reviewer knows that that pay is Naira. I don't understand this. Social rephrase. Gujarat. Training and manpower development, 1.8 million. Nice. Gujarat is going to be purchase of EOC, emergency obstetric care. Okay. 2.2 million. Purchase of ultrasound scan. 0.9 million. Ambulance. Gujarat. This your budget is it's not a budget for small ship. It's a very massive source, right? I actually asked you to do a budget of 4 items, right? So you did not listen to my instruction. However, I mean, if this budget is going to enable you to achieve the activities you mentioned, by all means, go for it. By all means. Show Naira, I was rushing. Okay, show. Well done. Franklin, instructor $500. Website 150 content. No, so frankly, I like the way you are reading, but this is not very useful to me. When you say instructor, do you mean honorarium for instructor? When you say website, do you mean website development? When you say content, do you mean shooting the content, creating the content? Right? Transport, we can relate, but these other ones, you can't just use one word and say about the budget. So, frankly, why I like arrangements, this budget is not doing the job. It's not doing the job, right? So, frankly, I hope you understand, right? It's not doing the job. Utowa, cancel of stipend, 1,000 times 3. Utowa, please, which currency is this? Is it pound sterling? Is it Naira? Is it Euro? Is it cities? All for cancel, 50,000, 50,000 words. Cost of sending a child to school for a session, 105,000. Total 24 million. So, go on. Is this in Naira or Kobo or cities? Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to announce to you that you have successfully written a complete proposal from start to finish. Right? I mean, I'm talking about you. This is incredible. Right? I'm proud of you. We are all proud of you. American Space, American company. We are proud of all of you on this call. We are proud of you. Let me see if I can take some more examples. Fumlayo, office 500 times 3, total $1,500. Tariffs for counseling, $1,000 Janet, what do you need to spend $1,500 on office? Why? Phones for therapy, $4,000. Evaluation of Fumlayo, I want to understand this 1,500 office. Office what? Is it office renting? Right? Say, do you want to buy an office? I don't understand this. Explain. Stella, budget furniture purchase. Baseline survey, 200 naira. Okay. Payment to furniture, but this baseline survey for 200 naira. It's too small now. Payment to furniture. I don't understand. Payment to furniture. When you say payment to furniture, what does that mean? I'm lost. Commissioning, 250,000. Commissioning of what? Publicity. Publicity of what? Event publicity. Publicity to attract beneficiaries. You need to be specific. Book it to everyone. Space, flats, per annum, 850,000. Beddings, 15 units, 30,000 for. I understand like the restriction and why maybe you are even on the part. I get that part, right? So key well, I see it. Putonwa, council stipend, 120,000. Still not in area. Offer council 50,000. Okay, I see naira. Cost of sending children, total 6.4 billion naira. Putonwa, thanks for sharing again. Okay, from I see your feedback. Stella, 200K. Okay. American Connect catcher. In preparing budget, you factor in inflation. Yes. You can factor in 5%, right? But you have to write it there. You have to write it and explain that to mark up things that are going to buy by 5% due to inflation, right? That you are adjusting for inflation, right? So as much as you can defend it, what you don't want to inflate fees Whereas the founder then finds out that you inflated fees. If you inflate fees and inflation is the reason why, put it there. Tell them that's the reason why, right? So Sylvia, I'm not saying like you should use 5% all the time, right? Okay, I'm not saying you should use all the time, but if you must use it, right? Of course, your markup should not be more than 5%. If your markup like 5%, I win another so to the area. The world is not about to end. So if inflation is getting to 20-30%, then you don't have a country anymore, right? Still there. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. This is good. This is good. This is good. This is good. So thank you everybody for sharing your budget. Thank you also much for sharing your budget. And we are going to wrap it up now. So that's my I'm trying to. Okay. All right, I think I can all see my screen now. And we're down to the last line. This is the last line. So we're down to the last line. So, right? My screen is coming up now. Okay. So I want to leave you with the 6 elements of the main grant proposal. What are the 6 things that we offer? What are the main grant proposal? The first is urgency, right? The proposal should be tackling the very urgent problem. If the problem is not urgent, it's not all this not coming across as urgent, it's very likely that the proposal will be ignored. Next is relevance. Proposal has to be relevant. Relevant to the needs of the people that you want to impact, and relevant to the thesis of the funder. Next is it has to show conviction. You need to write in such a way that you were thinking, right? You know the zeal, the energy that the data will split, right? That conviction. So you need to come through that you yourself are convinced what you're talking about. This come through. You need to be persuasive and skilled in your argument. Also, you need to reflect competence. Competence, especially when it comes to like the personnel, right? The personnel. So it's important, right? Let me give you an example. Project, for example, the project that I showed you. I'm sure probably one of the ones that propose something similar, right? But probably, I don't know, I'm just saying, probably the review has looked at our profiles, the people behind the project, and they look at our track record and our bio, and they're like, wow, this guy is nobody achieving, right? Competence can stand you out. Clarity, right? You know that one of the things that I've been hammering on over and over again is clarity. Whereas, oh, you're right, don't leave room for ambiguity, right? Don't assume that the reviewer is from your village or is one of the village people, right? Don't assume that the reviewer is going to be in Nigeria and using the Lagos State as your back. That is a fallacy. That is you putting your hopes in the sky. You need to write with clarity so that even someone who is not from your country and from your continent can make sense of what you're writing. So clarity. And then finally, prudence. This is about the budget, right? Your budget should not be inflated. Don't inflate this now. The reviewers also have access to Jumia, they have access to Amazon. They can check the price of things. So the budget should show prudence. And also, there's really relevant things. For example, if you're applying for a project and maybe you're applying for a grant for like 10 million, and you would spend 1 million on hiring a hall, you're not serious. If I were a founder, of course, I'm not giving that one because you're not serious. You want to spend 10% of your budget on hiring a hall, right? You are telling me you cannot get that off for free or get that subsidized rates, right? So these are some of the reasons why the funders will not fund the project. Sometimes you only have a plan idea just because of technicality. So if your project is showing urgency and relevance, written with conviction, by competent people, written in a way that every single element is clear. The budget that shows prudence will win grant funding. Thank you very much. So over to the host. My job is done now. American Spaces. Hands in the air.
Great. So thank you very, very much. We're very grateful. I was saying that I'm reporting live from American Center, Lagos. We're so happy and excited here, even though we've exceeded the time, but nobody really knew that we exceeded the time. So once again, let's put our hands together. So, Lugbenga, I want to ask you, are we still having one more session?
No, this is the final session. So
okay, so this is the final session. Let's put our hands together. Now, like I mentioned the last time, if he was to charge us for this session, we will not be able to pay because we're talking about how to make money. So we really, really appreciate you, sir, for this wonderful thing that you've done for Nigerians. And let me say this, the US government believes so much in Nigeria, particularly the young people in Nigeria. And you can see Olugbenga exemplifying that fact. So if given the opportunity, we can all flourish. We can do great things. And I want you, particularly, I'm seeing quite a lot of young people in Oka. I wish you can catch the vision. I wish you can walk with purpose and live for a purpose. And this nation will no longer be the same again. So I encourage all of you, please, let's take advantage of all that we have learned throughout this NGO organizational effectiveness workshops that we've had. We started in July and we're ending it now. So we want to appreciate every one of you. We'll tell you the next line of actions through our WhatsApp groups. Very soon we're going to merge the 3 groups to one. And also we're introducing what we call the American Spaces Nigerian communities. So we're going to be inviting you. When you see any link asking you to join, it's not compulsory, but I will advise you to join so that you can be informed. It's just going to be announcement only so that you can have access to information of future programs. Having said this, we want to thank you for sticking with us for this past 6 months, I think 6 months. It has been a long and rough, wonderful journey. So we appreciate you. We also want to appreciate AC Health Initiative for partnering with us on this journey. Shobo, is Shobo there? Okay, in absentia, I want us to clap for Shobo. He has really, really made this to work because there's no way we can, do all the follow-ups and make sure we remind you and answer all your questions. And so Shobo has really, really done wonderful work. I was telling him the other day that if I have the opportunity, I would have loved him to work with us here. I would have been a great talent and addition to the US mission. But hopefully, I believe in the future, something like that will happen. Having said that, finally, I want to thank all the directors who have really, really, I'm telling you, they are not being paid. It's like a thankless job. So I want you to thank for every one of them also. You see them coming. Some of them are lecturers. Some of them are NGO leaders. Some of them, they have librarians who have responsibilities, and yet they are combining this with their work in order to make Nigeria a great country. So we really appreciate you as well. And for you participants, thank you. We know we have more coming. We hope you will stick with us. And for your own interest, I know you will benefit quite a lot. So I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas in advance and a Happy New Year, and hope to see you next year. Tomorrow, we're still having another program. For those of you who are interested, we announced this that was on Monday. We're having a conversation with an alum. The link is there on our Facebook page, American Spaces NG, facebook.com, American Spaces NG. So if you can join us from home, from American Spaces, we'd love you to do that. And we wish you a wonderful year ahead. Bye-bye to you and everybody. Bye.
Bye.
And I thank myself too.
Yes, thank you for thanking us. Bye.